today we have a very special guest, and we don't only appreciate because of his contributions as a team player of the New York Giants, but for his accomplishments in the youth. In just 1 year, Rashad Jennings Foundation has encouraged over 160,000 students to read and continues to impact the youth in all 32 NFL cities through literacy, mentorship, and fitness. It's because of people like Rashad that our thousands of kids are reading more, learning more, expanding their opportunities for a better life. And I really want to welcome Rashad Jennings. Okay, so how long would you think Rashad and I have known each other? Somebody take a guess. 5 years? Who else? 3? And I heard something else. 6 months. 10? 10. Okay, isn't it amazing? That's a lot of different numbers, right? If you think of how long somebody knows someone. Rashad, how long have we known each other?
Somebody said three, maybe 3 weeks. About a solid 3 weeks.
So, what does that say? That says that our body language is comfortable, or we like each other, or we're googly for each other, or we just get along, right? Something like that, right? The reason why I'm bringing this up is that Ashley and I, which you haven't met her yet, but you will, we were discussing reading, and some stuff came up about my father, and I'm very proud to say that my son is in third grade. You know, mothers, we have to plug anytime we can. He's in third grade, and he's reading on a seventh grade level. So that's pretty amazing, really amazing. And thank you. And my daughter, who is in first grade, is reading on the third grade level. So it's very, very interesting. And the reason I bring that up is that Ashley and I had been discussing this that day when I had told her some stuff, and I don't want to give anything away because she's got to tell the story, and she tells it better than me, and nobody tells stories better than me. So you're in for a treat. That she has this gentleman friend that has this reading foundation. I said, oh my gosh, I got to do that. My dad will definitely want to do that. Oh, which, by the way, my dad is donating to Rashad Jennings Foundation $1,000 this evening. Right. And I don't know if Henning told you or not, but Henning's two companies, eMedia and BizMatch, donated $1,000 as well. Okay, I'll grab. So when this all came up, she said, yeah, she said, you know what? Maybe he'd like to come and speak at the event. I said, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Of course, that's it. That's perfect. That seals the deal. So we talk, and I said, great, book him. And she said, well, I don't know. I got to see if he did. I said, okay, no problem. If he can do it, we would love it. It'll fit in perfect. And then she said, oh, she goes, well, the reason is that because he's an NFL football player. And I go, what? He's a what? And she said, he's a football player. And I said, oh, okay. And she looked at me like, well, why aren't you happy about this? And I said, it's not that I wasn't happy. I said, I just don't know anything about football, but I just if he can come, great. If he can't, because it was secondary. And everybody was like, go easy with that, go easy with that. And I said, absolutely not, because I didn't want Rashad, or it didn't matter what it was. I wanted that his foundation, that he was an NFL football player, besides the point, which is also brings us to the whole about you with doing this foundation, because then you can then go forward with giving back to the children. I get so emotional about this because I'm sorry. The reason why this is really hitting home to me is that because Ashley and I were discussing, my father is illiterate. So anytime it has anything to do with reading foundations, and when I hear something like this, that the bond was immediately, I just wanted this gentleman to come and speak for his foundation. I didn't care that he was a football player.
Appreciate it. First, I appreciate y'all having me here. A couple moments just to share a little bit of my life, share a little bit about my passions, why I do what I do. Football is great, and we could talk about that briefly. But tonight I kind of get an opportunity to unmask myself and talk about things that I care about. So I appreciate having me.
Basically, just tell us your story. Like, just tell us maybe your upbringing, like just a little bit of background of your younger years.
All right, so I'm from a little town called Forest, Virginia. I tell everybody a lot is self-explanatory. When I say Forest, Virginia, Forest is exactly where I'm from. I grew up with horses in the backyard. I'm a country kid at heart. I grew up with I was an overweight, chubby kid. All right, glasses, asthma. I had a zero point 0.6 GPA average at one point in time. This overweight, 275-pound, fifth string running back saying that he wants to play in the NFL. And obviously, I had to overcome a lot of adversity to get here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be having this conversation. And I grew up also, I had two older, still do, two older brothers. They're 10 and 13 years older than me. I was the whoops, here we go again, baby. I wasn't expected. Parents had a good night and went to the doctor and found out here I come. So that's how I'm here. And I'm a goofy kid. Nothing's ever changed. Everybody who grew up with me still says, Rashad, you haven't changed one bit. I'm still that little dorky kid. I just don't have asthma. I don't have zero point 0.6. I don't have the glasses, and I figured out how to take care of my weight. But that admiration to learn is still there, even despite the zero point 0.6 GPA average, which I'm sure we'll get into and have fun talking about that. But yeah, I'm your average guy from a little town called Forest, Virginia.
What is, tell us, I want to just digress a little bit. I want you to tell me how you got into sports. Just what led you to the point of sports. I mean, I know you said early on about you knew you wanted to be a linebacker. Am I correct? Or running back? See, I'm sorry. I'm trying. But now I want you to, tell me how you went down that path.
Yeah, so playing running back, I had again two older brothers, and they both actually played football in front of me. Um, Brian Jennings, who is the middle, he's 10 years older than me. He played at Virginia Tech. Then he got drafted. Excuse me, he did not get drafted. He went as a free agent and played with the Chargers, the Patriots, and the Titans. Played 3 total years in the NFL. My oldest brother, his name is Butch Jennings. He graduated at Liberty University, played fullback, and he had a 1 year deal with the New York Giants. And then afterwards, he hung the cleats up. That really wasn't his passion. He just kind of wanted to prove people wrong, type of dude, and that's him. Hensing the name Butch. It fits him perfectly. And so for me, growing up, and both of my brothers play football. Those are my heroes. I didn't have to look too far to find a role model. I didn't have to, Google. I didn't have to find a movie or actor or actor. I had a role model in my home, and I was fortunate. And so I wanted to be like them, of course. So playing football was something that was an outlet for me. One, it was the first thing that I could do where I can actually hit somebody and not get in trouble for it. So I was like, this is great. I get to let out some of my frustration as a kid and actually get applaud for it. So football was something I always wanted to do, follow my brother's footsteps. And it's never been an easy road. Again, talking about, I give you a good story real quick about that kid turning and how where that kind of turning point was in football in my career. So when I tell you I never played and I was a fifth string running back, I'm not kidding at all. Like I never played to the point where we would come out. Yeah, how many people been to a high school football game before? Awesome. So The band's going on when you first come out of the locker rooms, right? You run through this white paper. Some teams run through a white paper. They break the paper. They go on the sideline. They get ready for the national anthem. The game starts. When I tell you I didn't play, to the point when we broke the white paper, I go to the sideline. I take off my helmet. I put it on the bench, right? And I would grab a Sprite and some M&M candy. Like, me and one of my buddies, his name is Speedy. All right, so me and Speedy never played. We were bad. It was bad. So we're playing against our high school rival. All right, this is the last game of the year. This is my junior year, last game of the season. We cannot, our team, Jefferson Forest High School, we cannot go to the playoffs. There's no way we're going to make it. We're done, last game of the season. The opponent, a high school rivalry, was the Brookville Bees. If they win, they go to the playoffs. If they lose, their season is done. So to us, this is like our Super Bowl. So again, I break the white tape. I go on the sideline, take off my bucket, put it on the bench. I got my little M&Ms. I got my Sprite, and we watching the show just like everybody else. So through the course of the game, the very first play of the game offensively, our starting running back got hurt. And me and Speedy on the sideline, like, watching it. He was like, hey, man, Quincy got hurt. Quincy was the starting running back. He said, hey, Quincy got hurt. I'm laughing because I'm going back to this. He said, hey, Quincy got hurt. I was like, yeah, man. He said, you think you going to play? Meet my Eminem. Nah, they ain't going to put me in. So we put in a second string running back. He goes in. A couple plays through it, he gets hurt, right? So Speedy, like, hits me on the shoulder. It's like, hey, man, you might get in. I'm still, nah, they ain't going to put me in. Third string running back goes in. He gets hurt. I'm like, okay. I start slowly, putting my M&Ms down. I'm like, man, they might put me in. Fourth string running back goes in. I can't make this up. He gets hurt, all right? But they put back in the first string guy. He ended up taping up his ankles. He got healthy enough to go back in. He's just stinking it up because he's hurt. He can't play like he normally does. So instead of putting me in fifth string, they put in a wide receiver at running back in front of me. So he goes in and gets hurt. All right, so this is when it gets good for me. Everybody's hurt. They have no choice but to put me in. So I'm drinking my Sprite on the sideline, and coach is yelling. He said, Jennings, get in the game, get in the game. I've never played. So I'm just sitting here like vibrating. I put my Sprite down. I put the M&Ms down. I'm looking for my helmet. Meanwhile, the coach is screaming at me, get in the game. So I grab the first helmet I see. It's not even mine. Put it on. I don't put it in the mouthpiece because that would be disgusting. It's not mine. So I go in. Quarterback's giving a play. I'm in a huddle. I'm seeing everybody. I'm like, hey, what's up, y'all? And they call a run play. All right. The first run play was a 40-yard touchdown. I scored a 40-yard touchdown on my very first play, high school football. And so I'm crunk. You can't tell me nothing. You can imagine. I come back to the sideline. I go chest bump Speedy. It was bad. He pretty much fell. And so I'm thinking that was it. They ain't going to put me back in. And sure enough, through the course of the game, they put me back in on offense. I ended up scoring another touchdown. Similar situation on defense where guys was just getting hurt, shuffling around. They put me in on defense. I scored defense. On the defensive side of the ball, I had a sack, scoop. I picked it up, scored. And to end the game, I had a pick six from a defensive end, picked off a screen play, and scored the final touchdown to end the game. So I played 14 total plays. This is great. 14 total plays my junior year against our high school rivalry, last game of the season. 14 plays, 4 touchdowns, 2 on offense, 2 on defense. Afterwards, there was a Tennessee scout that came to watch our starting running back. And he said, Rashad, I came to watch the starting running back, but I couldn't help but to notice you. And he said, how were your grades? So I said, well, I got a .6 GPA average. And he kind of just looked at me. He said, .6? Like, you don't even have one? And I said, no, I'm just being honest. And he said, son, you have potential. Get your grades right because you can go far. And for the very, very, very first time in my life, outside of the people that are supposed to support me, that being my family, um, somebody saw potential in me. And I've never had a coach. All my coaches said you're too fat and too slow to play at the college level. My teachers, because of my GPA average and because of me being inquisitive and the personality that I was, I didn't have a lot of support. And that truly settled in my mind and it stuck with me, that somebody saw something in me. From there, my junior year, I ended up transferring from a public school to a private school. Couldn't afford it, didn't have the money. So both of my brothers invested in me and went to the private school and coached there for free to help pay half the tuition. My parents took a loan to pay the other half of the tuition. I transferred, I repeated my junior year. I took 9 homeschool classes, 9 summer school classes on top of the regular academic courses. I busted my tail off. I stopped blaming people. I stopped making excuses. I started taking ownership and responsibility. And the rest from there is kind of history of how I'm playing in the NFL right now.
You actually answered all three of my next questions, which is exactly what I wanted to do. But you're amazing. You really, truly are amazing. And that's why this whole stems all the way back to when I first said to Ashley, oh, I didn't know about the football player. It didn't matter. It was just the whole reading concept and his perception of how to educate and how important it was that children all get the benefits of being able to do that. I do want to ask, though, for you to just tell us how, you can see, well, they can see in the media wall that that's the Rashad Jennings Foundation. If anybody wants to make donation, which, by the way, I have $300 in cash donation from the Women's in Crisis Center that I work for. Free. It's everything is foundation. Everything is for free. But I think it's pretty impressive that these women were able to raise $300 when they don't have money in their pockets themselves and made sure to bring it tonight. So I want to give a shout out to them. Um, and Dr. Stein, who couldn't be here tonight, but wanted to show his um, admiration, is his exact words for you, that he was donating $500 to the foundation. So I just want you to tell us a little bit about the foundation now. I think we all feel like we know him a lot better now, right? It's an amazing story, right? But I want you to tell us about the foundation and what inspired you to go that way, which I think you did already touch upon, but I just really want to gear that because I know it ended up for the foundation, and I want us to understand and them to understand how you came about that.
So the inspiration and why I started the foundation is relatively simple. Um, my first year in the NFL, I was drafted to the Jacksonville Jaguars in '09, 7th round draft pick. And every single Tuesday at that particular organization, Jacksonville, we're off every Tuesday. Here with the Giants was Mondays. That's to the coach's discretion. So on Tuesdays in Jacksonville, my rookie year in '09, I would dedicate an hour or two, and I still do to this day. I dedicated an hour or two in the communities, whether that was going to a local school, telling my story, encouraging kids, whether that was partnering with the YMCA, reading books at the library, whatever it may be, however I could utilize, again, this platform that I have that always says nothing special about me at all. I'm just in a really special position, and I understand that. God give, God can take. And so while he's giving this, I want to give as much as I can. And doing that, I noticed over time, I felt like I was doing band-aid work. I would go to these local schools, get everybody extremely excited, the faculty, the kids, everybody. And then I would leave, and I would go back to my seemingly fantasy world playing football. Um, and it became a burden on me rather than excited to go do this because I didn't have any follow-up. All these kids' faces staring at me, and I'm wondering about them. I'm wondering what that little kid's doing right now that I just met a week ago. Like, that conversation that I had, that intimate moment. And so I wanted to create a foundation where we, as NFL athletes, especially, because I think of longevity, I think about giving my peers something to use in programs, because every single professional athlete I've ever come across, anybody really, if I ask them, do you give back to your community, first of all, do you give back to your community? If they say yes, if you ask them, do you give back as much as you would like to? 100% no. If you ask why, it's because they don't have time. So for me, I don't. I'm a goofball, right? So my weekends look different from most people. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I never have a day in my life. I appreciate it. My fun is different. Like, I have a whiteboard at the house that I fill up all the time with ideas, erase it. I play the guitar. I do different things to entertain myself. And so for me, on the weekends and everything, trying to collectively come up with ideas. How can I create programs that will help my community, that I will stay invested in that community, and also that my peers can adopt? That would be time consuming. And so this is how we created the reading challenge. This is funny, but you'll see the impact from it. The NFL locker rooms trash can. Trash can around here. The NFL locker room's trash can is not a normal trash can. Some nice stuff going on in there. Like, so my rookie year, again, from Forest, Virginia, I'm country kid. I look in the trash can. I'm just throwing away some dirty old socks, right? Can't wear them at all. And I look in the trash can. I'm like, man, this is nice. And all the vets are like, man, rookie, get out of here. And I wanted to grab it and like take some of the stuff home with me, because I'm like, man, Maurice Jones-Drew wore this. David Garrard was using this. I'm a fan of the game. I just happen to be playing. And so over time, I met up with this guy, Tim Odom, and he was doing a lot of community work too with reading. I grew up with a reading comprehension deficit. Reading is pivotal to the success of any human being. Is very much a language barrier, and so I wanted to find ways to give back in that capacity. So what we do is, instead of an athlete throwing away his memorabilia, Eli Manning throwing away, a jersey that he wore from a game, Victor Cruz throwing away a glove that he had just used catching the football, Odell Beckham throwing away some shoestrings. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is that we're throwing away that we don't even consciously think about because it's trash to us, that right there is souvenir. That right there is motivation for a lot of people in this world. So what we do is I get my peers to autograph it, whatever it is. It could be a raggedy sock, a hat, as long as there's no girdle. I think that's pushing the limit. And sign it. After they sign it, I collect it. When we collect it, we go to the local schools and we ask if they want to partner with our reading challenge. And how it works is we talk to the librarian, and the kids come in, they get a book, they read the book, and then they take a test on the book, and the teachers grade it. They pass, their name goes inside of a hat. At the end of the month, there's a drawing. If you pass, your name goes in the hat, so you can read as many books as you want. Your name goes in as many times as books as you read. And so at the end of it, if that school has 15 items, you got 15 winners. You got 10 items, you got 10 winners. And so these kids, it's amazing to watch a kid light up, get inspired to read, just so they can win a funky shoe that I was just going to throw away. And it's amazing. They don't want the brand new ones. They like to pick up the dirty one to smell it. Ew, hey, he wore this. Like, that's what's inspiring the youth. And this is at a grade level. And it's been an amazing program. We've had over 300,000 something books read, and the reviews.